Thank you so much, Kara, and thank you, Peg. It's so exciting to be here, and I'm honored to read for Joyland, and I'm honored to read with Daniel Handler, not just because I want your sandwich.
But also you
But also I do want that sandwich. So I'm gonna just go smack dab into the middle of my novel. And it's set in 1967, and I was thinking it's set locally, and I kind of wish I could have gotten her over here to Sausalito, because I bet that would have been interesting. But I think all you need to know is that there's a woman who calls herself by the initial B, and she is basically plagued by constant anxiety she calls the car sickness, and the only relief she's found is passing counterfeit checks at banks. And she's doing it all over the Central Valley. And for this scene, she recently cut her foot walking barefoot in some buttes, as one does, and is waking up after drunk sex with a married Chico professor, which one does. The university man went on about the house, its gutters or hot water heater or some other domestic concern. She lay rigid, understanding she would need to move quickly, to locate her dress, slip it on without zipping. But for the moment, she did not want to move. A Johnny Mercer song came into her head. She waited inside, I'm old-fashioned, for some clarity or consolation. There was only her aching body in the bed. Good luck on your trip, the professor said abruptly, apparently at the end of his monologue. Then she knew she must go. The house in the morning no longer looked quaint and comforting, but disordered and stained, unwashed plates and cups on bookshelves, crumpled boxer shorts on the floor, discolorations in the rug. The charcoal nudes unmistakably thrusting, hostile. She found her heels near the couch, the African mask mocking her with its foreign turned-up mouth and slitted eyes. She ran through the campus, her foot a violent sting. The Mustang was not where she thought it was. She limped down the first street and then the next, identical in its dumpiness, and began to panic. Had the car been stolen, towed? Why did it all look the same? Until she found the car dirty and untouched on the first street and wondered how she had missed it. She sat hunched at the wheel. The car sickness was a single crushing shot through the hangover and wounded foot. She waited in the Mustang for the bank to open. A white banner draped across the top of the doors offering free toasters to new students. There was a foul smell in the car from the uneaten tacos, but she did not want to handle them before going in, so she sat in the heat with the odor. She glanced at herself in the rearview mirror, catching the glint of the diamond brooch in the narrow rectangle, the mussed hair, and dried makeup. There was only one teller at the counter, a man. Disappointment passed through her. She walked through the velvet ropes to wait her turn, although there were no other customers. The male teller had his head down, arranging some papers. He made her wait several more minutes. Next, please. Hello, I'd like to make this out to cash. He peered at the check. Are you visiting, ma'am? Yes, my cousin. He did not smile at her. He was young, but his brown hair was thinning at the top. His face was narrow and white, his lips pale, like two aged scars in his face. It's so hot over here, she said, trying to make small talk. I didn't realize. The city is so cold in the summer. He nodded and did not move to open his cash drawer or ask what bill denomination she preferred. She did not like the purple pattern of his tie. He studied the check again. If you'll excuse me for a moment. As he walked away toward a row of desks at the back, and as he stopped to speak with another man, older and gray-haired, Bea felt suddenly as if she had handed over her small child to a stranger. The male teller and the older man talked in low tones, the older man studying the check now. Both looked over at Bea. She had an urge to run around the counter and snatch back her small child. Good morning, miss, the older man was saying as he approached her. There seems to be a question on the account. I just realized I'm late. I'll have to come back. She slid the ostrich skin purse onto her wrist and backed slowly and casually away. She walked with the same casualness out the door, 11 steps. Outside, the sun struck her harsh and bright. She opened the Mustang door, sat down in the seat, keyed the ignition, and sped out of the parking lot in one fluid motion. She did not go into her motel room, just sat by the pool in the scalding sun. She cried, watching the oiled rainbow swirls in the water. A housekeeper asked if she needed the manager. She shook her head. Her shoulders and scalp burned, and her feet puckered to numbness. The tears were not for the university man, she knew. They came from an alien, frightening place. When she finished, she dragged herself to her room, exhausted and cotton-mouthed as if coming through a desert. She lay on the bed and tried to think what she could do without the banks. What could she do without the banks? She clutched the bed, hearing the Johnny Mercer song until she fell asleep. She did not call him from the motel. She waited, stalling, until she was back on the road. She forced herself off at a truck weighing station. The sun was burning on the glass of the phone booth, the glare reminding her how much time there was to kill before lunch. "Hello," she said. "Well," Daughtry said, "didn't expect a call from you." The concrete sidewalk radiated more heat into the glass. Sweat gathered at the base of Bee's back, between her legs. She tried again to remember his first name. It would not come to her. "How are you?" "You sound like shit," Daughtry said. She nodded, forgetting he couldn't see her. "How's your granny?" he asked. "Better, thank you. Bullshit." She looked down and noted the faintest film of semen still on her dress. She began scratching at it. "It doesn't matter," Daughtry said. "I didn't mean it. The truth is, I've missed you." "Me too," she lied. "Look, I need your help. I need more checks."